I have filed 3 after-action statements in my service with the Orty Third Light. The first 2 were simple enough. Enemy contact, withdrawal, casualties counted, units accounted for. A clerk processes them in a morning. The third one took me 11 days to write. Not because the events are complicated, because I could not find a right category on the form. I will tell you what happened on the Keth-Mora plateau, and you can decide what to call it. I have stopped trying. We held that plateau for 6 rotations before the Varath pushed the eastern flank. The Varath are not subtle. They are bronze-plated across 6 limbs, each limb ending in a crushing hook, and they fight as a horde, not a formation, a horde with the kind of mass that doesn't need tactics because the ground itself eventually buckles under that weight. 6-limbed, territorial. The oldest recorded engagement with their kind ended with 17 Orty regiments reduced to scattered elements in 11 hours. That figure is in the briefing packet. We all read it. We held the plateau anyway, because the alternative was letting them reach the lowland settlements, and nobody had a better idea. For 6 rotations, we held. Then the eastern flank gave. I don't say that as a condemnation. The unit on that flank was the 7th Reach, and they held longer than any projection suggested they would. When the bronze line finally crested the ridge and came through the gap, there was nothing wrong with the 7th Reach. There was just more Varath than ground to stop them. The order came across the command channel in the flat voice that command uses when it is already decided. Fall back to the secondary line. All elements fall back. All elements. I started moving. Everyone around me started moving. The Orty Third Light is a disciplined regiment, and we moved in order, not in panic, but we moved. You learn in your 3rd cycle of service that there is no shame in a managed retreat. The shame is in dying for ground that cannot be held. The order was correct. We obeyed it. I was 40 strides into the tree line before I remembered Sessic. He had taken a bronze hook strike to the lower thorax during the push 2 rotations prior. The field medic had sealed the wound and cleared him for light duty, which in practical terms meant he could stand a watch but could not run. We had known this. We had planned to carry him out in pairs. Somewhere in the noise of the withdrawal order, that plan dissolved. Sessic was in the forward hollow, a shallow depression in the rock, maybe 8 strides across, with a low stone berm on the plateau side. He had been on watch when the order came. He could not run. I stopped at the tree line and looked back. The human was still there too. Corporal Dara Holst had been attached to our regiment as an advisory element. One person. The designation was something about cross-species coordination, which in practice meant she sat in on briefings, asked questions that seemed simple and weren't, and occasionally corrected the range estimates on our indirect fire requests without being asked. She was small, even by human standards. I had to look down to meet her eyes, and I'm not tall among Orty. She carried her kit without complaint. She ate whatever was in front of her. She had not, in 6 rotations, done anything I would describe as remarkable. She was standing at the lip of the forward hollow, her back to the tree line, looking out at the plateau. The Varath came over the ridge 3 minutes later. I should have kept moving. The secondary line was 2 kilometers back. Command had ordered all elements to fall back. I was an element. I should have moved. I did not move. I cannot tell you exactly why. I wrote 4 different explanations into my after-action draft and deleted all of them because none of them were accurate. The honest answer is that I stood at the tree line and watched, and I could not stop watching. The horde came down off the ridge in the way they always do. That bronze plate wave, the clicking of hooks on rock, the subsonic resonance they make when the mass is large enough. Hundreds of them, maybe more. The plateau between the ridge and the hollow filled with them the way a basin fills with water, and the hollow sat in the middle of that, with Sessic in it and Holst standing at its edge. They reached her. They did not stop. The front of the horde reached Holst, and the hollow, and the front of the horde stopped. Not all of it. The wave kept coming down off the ridge and pooling across the plateau. But the part that reached her stopped, and the parts behind it divided around the hollow the way current divides around a stone in a river, and the hollow sat there in the middle of all of it, and Holst stood at its edge. I could not see clearly at that distance, in that light. I saw motion. I saw the specific bronze shapes at the front of the horde reacting to something. Not advancing, reacting, pulling back from the lip of the hollow, reforming, advancing again, pulling back again. This happened many times. The horde flowed around them. Across the rest of the plateau, the Varath pushed on toward the secondary line, toward whatever came next in their territorial logic. But around the hollow, a dense ring of them held and circled and did not clear it. The light changed. Orithvel has a long dawn. The sun comes up slowly on that part of the sector, and the plateau goes through a long gray period before the light becomes honest. Through that long gray, the ring around the hollow held. Sessek told me afterward that he did not see much of it. He was prone, behind the berm, following instructions. The instructions Holst gave him were specific and simple. Stay down, stay quiet, do not move regardless of what you hear. He followed them. He's a good soldier. He told me she never raised her voice. He told me he heard impacts, not her voice, impacts, and then silence, and then impacts again, and that the silences got longer each time, and at some point he realized the sound of the horde on the plateau had changed, had thinned. At dawn, full dawn, when the light was honest, Holst came to him and told him it was time to move. She carried him out on her shoulders. I saw them come out of the tree line. I had been at the tree line all night, which is its own failure, its own separate entry in a form with no good category for it. I saw her come through the trees with Sessek across her shoulders, his weight distributed in the particular way humans carry loads, centered high, arms free. She was walking at a normal pace. Not slowly, not staggering, walking. She handed him off to me and two others who had come back up from the secondary line when they'd realized he was missing. She did not say anything about the night. She asked about the field station's location and whether the comms were up on the secondary line and whether the regiment's casualty count had been filed yet. Logistics questions, administrative questions, the kind of questions you ask when you're trying to account for everything that needs to be accounted for. I asked her what had happened in the hollow. She thought about it for a moment. Then she said, "Nothing I want to put in writing." I filed the after-action statement 11 days later. In the section marked Nature of Engagement, I wrote what I could verify. 1 forward position held through enemy overrun, 1 Ority wounded recovered, no Terran casualties. I attached my own observation log. I noted that I had maintained a visual on the position for the duration of the engagement, and that the position had not been cleared by the Varath despite sustained contact. I did not write what that meant. The form had no space for it. The Varath pulled back from the Keth-Mora plateau 2 days after the engagement. Not from the secondary line, from the plateau itself. The ground they had pushed through the eastern flank, taken at considerable cost, abandoned. Command ran 4 different analyses on why. None of the analyses were satisfying. I have my own theory. It is not in any document. The hollow is still there on the plateau. The stone berm is marked now not by us. The Varath marked it. I don't know what the marking means in their territorial logic. Nobody I have asked can translate it with any confidence. I think about Sessek sometimes, lying behind that berm in the dark, hearing the impacts and the silences, and trusting the instructions. Staying down, staying quiet, not moving regardless of what he heard. I think about what it means to hold ground. I had always understood it as a collective act. Weight of numbers, weight of fire, weight of will distributed across enough bodies that the ground becomes too costly for the other side to take. I had never understood it as a thing one person could do alone. She walked out of there carrying him at a normal pace and asked about the field station. I don't know what category to put that in. I have stopped trying to find one.